speaking of Philly, there's some news on that coaching staff. What do we need to know?
The Eagles' offensive line coach, legendary offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland, decided that he was stepping away from the game, retiring from football yesterday, a move that sent shockwaves through the city of Philadelphia. Here's somebody that had a legendary run since taking over as the Eagles' offensive line coach under Chip Kelly in 2013. He always had this offensive line performing at a top level, but over the course of the last year, this organization had been through a number of changes. I don't think that they listened to him on some of the changes that they made with their offensive coordinators. I don't think they heard his voice as much as he would like last year.
Wow.
And when he thought about it, ultimately in the end, he decided to step away from the sport, leaving a gaping hole. So the Eagles bring in a new offensive coordinator in Sean Mangan. They bring in the Buccaneers offensive coordinator. Josh Grizzard is the pass game coordinator. But they are now without Jeff Stoutland, who's been a fixture in Philadelphia and one of the reasons that this offense has performed at such a high level over time.
You got to think, too, Swag, they're thinking, okay, well, at least we have Stoutland there, so whoever else comes as part of this offensive staff, they'll be able to rely on him. What changes now without somebody like Stoutland?
Look, that's why you're the best at what you do. That's the perfect question, because more than the X's and O's in development, and I'll get into that, it's the attitude and the mentality that Jeff Stoutland brought, not just for the offensive line. That permeated throughout the whole team. If you hear Jason Kelsey talk about his admiration for Jeff Stoutland and what he did for his career more so than anybody, you know that there was a part of the DNA that he brought to the Philadelphia Eagles. This, to your point, Schefter, this is a gaping hole for this football team from a mentality standpoint. Now, to the football side, Joey Mailata was a rugby player that turned into an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler under his watch. Jason Kelsey, undersized center that came in and is going to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. You think about all of the guys that he's had throughout this tenure with the Philadelphia Eagles. Miles Sanders, 1,000-yard rusher. Saquon Barkley, 2,000 yards rushing behind this offensive line. So he had more to do with the success of this offense than people probably would give him credit for, because they say, oh, he's just an O-line coach. I was in the NFL locker room. Dan was in the NFL locker room. RC in the NFL locker room. Offensive line coaches set the tone. They set the tone for your offense. That's just the way it goes, and Stoutland was one of the best at doing it.
And I think of some of the great legendary offensive line coaches who are out there. When they leave, their organizations are not quite the same. Alex Gibbs, Hudson Houck, Bill Callahan, Jeff Stoutland. There are some unbelievable offensive line coaches. And as difficult as it is to find an offensive coordinator, it may be even harder to find a great offensive line coach.
Lastly, I'll speak on Bill Callahan. Bill Callahan was in Dallas when I was there as an offensive line coach. The remnants of his coaching still exist in Dallas.
Man.
They didn't deviate too far away from what he did. So these guys are majorly important, man.
Yeah, under Stoutland, 7 different Eagles offensive linemen have combined to make 26 Pro Bowls. That has to do with those players, but a lot of it has to do with coaching.
Mekhi Becton revived himself.
Good point. Man, you could keep listing them out. Let's talk about Minnesota, you guys. J.J. McCarthy struggled in an injury-riddled first year as the starter, and they watched Sam Darnold make it to the Super Bowl with Seattle. Justin Jefferson talked about what's next for the Vikings at quarterback.
I have faith in anybody that's out there throwing me the ball, honestly. It's just all about the preparation that we have, the confidence that he have into going back there in that huddle, no matter what play call is called, but just taking on that role into leading our team into a victory, no matter how that looks, how many touchdowns he throws, how many yards he's throwing for, as long as we coming out that game with a victory, that's all that matters.
Man, Jettas has handled all of this so well. But let's go down to Peter Schrager, who's joining the show now with Dan. Peter, can the Vikings continue on with J.J. McCarthy as their starting quarterback?
Let's first take a moment for the round of applause I got. Thank you, fans. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Honestly, it's the cardinal sin of what happened with Kwesi, the old GM. How the handling of the quarterback room went down. And Sam Darnold not only wasn't franchised or re-signed, but they also let Daniel Jones walk out the building. So the pressure was on J.J. McCarthy all season. Truth of the matter is this. Next year, you still have Kevin O'Connell. You still have Wes Phillips. You still have Josh McCown. And you've got a quarterback in J.J. McCarthy who finished the season really strong. He's 6-4 as a starter, and if he's healthy, It gives them a shot to win. Now, last year it was Carson Wentz and it was Max Brosmer for too many games in a very loaded division. I believe that coaching staff knows their eggs are in this basket, and they're going to ride with J.J. McCarthy, and it's on him now to say, hey, year 3, it's going to be my year.
I think Minnesota needs to bring in a starting quarterback. Okay?
Besides J.J.
Yes, so one, just because of the health issues, I mean, J.J. has missed so many games over the last 2 years that at some point you do need to have at least that very good plan 1, whatever we want to call it, 1A, 1B. And then 2, when JJ's played, and I've loved JJ and supported him coming out of school, the performance hasn't been what you would hope it to be. So from a play perspective and then a health perspective, I think Minnesota has to think about, well, sure, you want to call it competition, whatever it is. There's got to be a starting quarterback that gets brought in, at least caliber-wise. And the other part is this, I'm not wasting another year of Justin Jefferson.
Nope.
Like, I'm not going through another year with Justin Jefferson.
And Jordan Addison.
And Addison yards a game. And so the number one target for me for Minnesota would be Mac Jones. I understand it's got to be a trade, but when Mac Jones plays in the style of play, this is his performance last year with San Francisco. Brock Purdy obviously was elevated.
Yeah, you know, his knowledge of the game is definitely growing.
Day in, day out, he puts his best foot forward.
Mace deep down the right side for Keyshawn Boutte. Pulls it in! That's how you do that!
Really can do it all at the quarterback position. He has all the arm strength in the world. He makes plays with his feet.
You don't never want to take credit for anything. Special player, special person.
Someone that you want in the locker room for sure.
Go get another one, man. Pass me, pass me. 1, 2, 3, pass!
It really is remarkable when you think about the run that this Patriots team has been on with Drake May. As we welcome in Sal Palantonio, who's been covering the Patriots all week long. And Drake May says his injured shoulder feels great. So what are any concerns or focuses that the Patriots have for their young QB, Sal?
You know, and Laura, the quote of the week was from Drake May earlier today when he said, I ain't lying to you guys when I say my shoulder is great. I feel great. And now going into Super Bowl 60, what do they have to do for Drake May? They got to protect Drake May and protect the football. Listen to this.
I mean, they do a great job of, playing fast. They swarm to the football. We got to protect it when we're running, and obviously they play some zone coverage, and they got eyes on the quarterback. Some tip balls. Got to make sure I'm being really accurate with the football, and obviously the rush is we got good players up front, so got to be careful in the pocket.
There's this identity that they play with, that they believe in, and they put on tape. They're not afraid to come and attack the football, and so they've done that really well this year.
I would say that, they probably have the best coordinated rush games that I've seen, since I've been in this league, which has been a long time. So it's a credit to them. They do a good job, and it's a great challenge for us.
Yeah, that was offensive line coach Doug Marrone, and he has been around a long time. For him to say that about the Seahawks defense is something. And I talked one-on-one with Mike Vrabel. It's a Sunday conversation on Countdown coming up on Sunday, but a little snippet of it was, I said, do you have to coach up Drake May on turnovers and taking care of the football, or does he understand that? Is it a given now? And he said, oh no, this is a coaching point that will go right up to game time. We want him to be aggressive, but not reckless with the football. And I got to tell you, this is my 11th time I've covered Bob Kraft's New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, all 11 times. You see these buses behind me. He pulls out all the stops. They got 5 luxury buses to pick up the players, take them over to Stanford University momentarily for practice on Thursday. They do it right here for the New England Patriots, I got to tell you.
All class with the Kraft family, and I love that you talked about the conversation coming your way on Countdown on Sunday, 4-hour NFL Countdown show. That's going to be a lot of fun getting you ready for the game. Seattle's defense dominant this season, leading the NFL in scoring efficiency and third down conversion percentage, including the postseason. This is what Drake May's up against. The Patriots D was no slouch either, though, second in scoring and third in efficiency. But they were even better when Christian Gonzalez and Milton Williams played, allowing just 14.5 points per game, 7 fewer when either was out. Just talking about how impactful those players are. Swagoo, this is your part of the show.
Come on.
All right? We're talking about the D-lines on both sides. We saved it for the best part, the halfway through the show. It's the highest rated mark of the show for you. Okay, start us off with what Sam Darnold can expect to see from the Patriots line.
Well, one, this defensive line, to their credit, when they do 4-man rush, they've been generating a lot of pressure, a lot of issues for quarterbacks, but it's also what they do in the blitz game as well that helps their D-line be free hitters or even linebackers. If you look at this Denver game, you're getting picks on the interior. This is by design because the pressure in the center of the pocket, to me, is the most important thing when you're playing against Sam Darnold. This leads to an incomplete pass, but I want to show it from this angle to show you how much is going on for this offensive line to try to sift through while guys are still getting free to the quarterback. So as much as we talk about, like, there's been a resurgence for Kayvon Chason. Like, he's been coached. He's been taught how to be an edge rusher. When he was in Jacksonville, he struggled a little bit with his moves. Milton Williams showed what he's showing now when he was in Philadelphia during the playoff run, which is why they extended the contract. But they don't just lean on games by those 4 guys up front. They add rushers, they simulate pressure, and they create one-on-ones. And I think the best defenses, the best defensive coordinators, and guys, y'all done heard me say this 1,000 times, 3 techniques have to dominate football games in order for you to win them at certain points in the game. So regardless of if they bring pressure or if it is Barmore or Milton Williams on the interior, like they were able to be super effective in the first 2 games, I think they have a real shot at winning this game. Make no mistake about it. As much as we've talked about and lamented about Seattle's defense and their D-line especially, this Patriots defensive line is going to have something to say about how this game goes, and they've been playing at a very high level.
So the hardest part with New England's defensive line offensively is you get it from both sides. Very rarely does one side of New England's D-line do a game or a stunt or whatnot. There's, Marcus, your clip, they're
both sides.
They're twisting on both sides. And so from an offensive perspective, like, you can't necessarily know what side you want to send your help to with it comes a center or a back. And the amount of displacement that it happens from an offensive line perspective, is that really different? That's not something that Seattle does. Like, Seattle doesn't often do both sides stunts and twists. So New England does.
To your point, I'm going to be quick, Mina. To your point, Dan, a lot of times it's, determining protection,